Hi there, my name is Christine. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and tonight I want to make a video to show you how to use the beautiful Oceanfront stamp set. Definitely one of my favorites. You can build images with it, and so many ways to use this stamp set, but I'm going to show you the basics. You'll notice that it doesn't have any sentiments, so we're going to bring in a different one to do that. But starting off, so you've got different images here, some rocks, kind of a beach, the water, and I use this as the sky, and then we've got some texture for sand and some leafy elements. So it's a great stamp set. My card base is thick white, which I have cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4.25. So I'm just going to fold that and get it out of the way because we don't need it right this moment. So there's been a little gap in my videos. Things have just been really busy, but I'm happy to do this one, and I am planning a few coming up. I have a really fun little Easter one that's percolating in my mind. And Easter's next weekend. I don't even know how that happens. So we've got our thick white. We've also got a layer of Bermuda Bay and a layer of Sahara sand. The Bermuda Bay layer I ran through my embossing and cutting machine with the textured 3D embossing folder. I don't know if you can see the texture on that. It looks like fabric. It's really fun. I believe this embossing folder is actually in the last chance clearance sale right now. So it unfortunately is not carrying over to the next catalog. And then just a piece of Sahara sand. So I've done... let's see the measurements. Let's use the ruler to get these right in case you wanted to make this one. So the Sahara mat is 3.5 by 4.75, and the Bermuda Bay layer is 4.125 by 5.375. So we're going to build an image on a piece of regular white. So it is 3.25 by 4.5. So put that down. I'm going to put my glasses on. So really, I mean, I'm going to get a little fancy with the way I build it, but you don't need to. It's a gorgeous stamp set. So you basically just need a few colors of ink, really. I don't know if you've seen on my Facebook, I posted the new in colors for 2022 to 2024. They are being released May 3rd, and there's 3 different blues, and I am so excited. So I am going to start my image by using the water. And I do find the stamp set, the stamps are a little bit larger than your D block. So I am using my E block for these. And for my water, I'm going to use Coastal Cabana as my first go at my water. When I'm using my E block, I tend to bring the ink to the stamp. I just find it easier that way because it is a fairly big stamp block. So I'm putting this fairly low, and I'm lining it up. It's straight across, kind of at the midpoint of the card. So these are photopolymer stamps. If you don't find you're getting a super crisp image, you can stamp on top of a mouse pad. I find is really helpful because it's got a little bit of give in the foam. Just cleaning off my stamp with my chamois. And my chamois lives in a stamp case. All right. And then we'll do the sky. So again, block E works really well for that. So we're going to do that in Balmy Blue. So for this one, I'm I'm going to have them meet each other. So the nice thing with the photopolymer stamps is you can see where you're stamping, right? So you can align things up really nicely and build images really confidently. So there's our sky. Next, we're going to do our beach. And you'll see with this beach strip, it's going to be the beach, but it's also going to be an accent on the water. So for the beach, I'm going to use Sahara sand. Which is a nice beachy color. Now, how does this work again? I always forget. Okay, it's going to go that way. This is the one tricky stamp in my mind, and it's not tricky at all. It's just me. Okay, so I am overlapping the waves a little bit because waves coming up onto the beach would overlap a bit anyhow. So that is our beach line. Oh, and I said I was going to use the stamp twice, which I am. So we've got our beach, and I'm going to pull in the Bermuda Bay. So I used the Bermuda Bay for my mat, as you recall. And the reason for that is I'm also pulling it in to the water. So by overlapping the stamp, I've kind of added the Bermuda Bay to the Coastal Cabana color. There we go. So that is our sky, our water, and our sand. But we're not done. No. So I want to add a bit of texture to my sand with that sandy texture stamp. And I keep forgetting to do this before I put my rocks. So easier to do when there's no rocks in the way. There we go. And then we're going to add some rocks. This one, I'm just going to put a larger rock. Actually, if I put the larger rock, I'm going to lose much of my beach. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to use the smaller ones so that we can still see some of the beach. And for that, I'm going to use Smoky Slate. So the key when you're layering your colors on top of one another is to choose colors that are going to kind of mask the other colors, if you will. So Smoky Slate is a slightly darker gray. It's not the darkest one. That would be, which one is that? Sorry, Basic Gray is the darkest. So it's not quite that dark. You can still see the sandy texture a little bit through it, but to me that just adds a little bit more texture to the rocks. So that's all good. Okay, and now we're going to add some of that greenery. And to do that, I'm using Evening Evergreen, which is one of the 2022, yes, 2022, 2020, that's a lie, 2021, 2023 in colors. So it's just to kind of add some more depth to the image. I'm putting that over here in front of our rock, and it's such a beautiful dark green that it does look like it's in front of the rock. Totally intentional. Okay, so I really like the way the image looks as it is, but I'm going to show you a trick to kind of blend the colors a little bit more. I'm just going to bring that up so you can see it better. So there's a little bit of gaps little bit of gaps going on. So I want to try to blend those. So I've got my water painter. I think this is the smallest water painter. I'm not going to worry about our sky too much. I think that looks kind of fun. I'm going to bring in our Coastal Cabana. And I'm just putting a little bit of it on the block. Some people smoosh their ink pad like in this position, and then you end up with some paint here. I've done this in the past. I prefer to just use my block. I don't know, it's just a thing, just a preference. So whenever I'm using my water painters, I've always got a paper towel nearby just to help with cleaning and also controlling the amount of water that's in my brush. And I'm just going to fill that in with a bit of watercoloring. I still want it to be fairly subtle. I'm going to go over the beach area as well, just to add a bit of depth there. But I don't want it to look like I'm just doing the outlines, so I'm going to add a few waves. So the more water you add to the ink, the lighter it's going to look, right? So sometimes what I do is I squirt some water directly onto the block, and then I can blend in. So I want it to be pretty subtle back here. And you don't want to wet your paper too much if you're using just regular weight paper, which I've done here. But you can, it'll take some water. There we go. So I think that fills in the gaps with the Bermuda Bay. Something I want to do, which I did on another card, which is a really fun trick as well, is to add some sunshine. And sorry, I did not, it's a bit of a last minute idea. So I'm gonna grab my, I'm gonna use Mango Melody for this. Oh, I love this color. It is so gorgeously bright. So again, I just put a bit of it on the ink pad. And I'm just gonna put a sun There we go. Now what's fun to do, now that I've done that, is we're gonna put a little bit of our sun in the water. And I'm gonna do this with my brush. This I have not done before. So I want to dilute it a fair amount because I don't want it to be like too yellow. So you see how I'm just adding a bit of reflection onto the waves. There we go. And then to clean my water painter, I'm just squeezing water out and then our brush is clean again. So, super fun tool to use. If you don't have them, I definitely recommend them. There's a lot we can do with these. So I am quite happy with that. So we need a sentiment because we don't have one. So I'm going to pull in my Evening Evergreen and the Sweet Strawberry stamp set. This is one of the retiring ones. You're about to see it is well loved, as you can see from how stained my stamps are. I'm going to make a thank you card. Such a great stamp set. I'm going to miss that one a lot. All right. So I'm going to bring in my scrap paper. I've always got scraps kicking around. And I'll ink that up. So this scrap paper is 1/2 inch thick, and it appears to be 8.5 long. I didn't measure that, but I'm just going to cut it to the length I want now that I've got it stamped. So I'll get my snips out. I like with the U how it's kind of got that little curve on it, so I'm going to slant my paper. And there we go. Easy peasy. I'm going to put a cap on this water painter too. I don't want to get water where I don't want it. Now, before we assemble, I'm just going to pull in my linen thread. There's not a lot left on here, so it's wound pretty tight. So it's pretty curly, a lot like my hair. So I'm just going to use my bone folder here to straighten it. It's kind of like the opposite of when you curl ribbon on a Christmas card when you're wrapping. And sometimes I add more kinks than I take out. It's just like my hair for real. Well, I don't spend too much time straightening it. All right. And I'm going to wrap around twice just because it, whoops. I like the look of it. That's why. All right. And you'll notice I haven't actually cut my thread yet. And the reason for that is I find I don't end up wasting as much when I do it this way, because I end up cutting it where I want it. I think I was making a bow. It's almost as hard. Here we go. So I'm just doing a simple knot. Excuse the repetition there for this one. Oh, whatever. I'll try a bow. We'll see what it looks like. I've got enough to work with. It's a bit funny looking. I don't know what I did. All right. We'll go with it. I do that a lot. I start off doing one thing and switch it up. All right, so that can go like that. And I'm going to put my thank you on dimensionals. I'm going to add it at the end just to make sure that it's actually on the card. So I'm going to pull in my liquid glue to put my layers down. And then when I'm done, I'm going to show you a couple more cards that I've done very similarly to this one with some slight differences. Yeah, I was really happy to see this stamp set in next year's catalog because I just love it. And I think even more so at this time of year because I miss summer so much. And I did not get to go to the beach this year, which I was really hoping to go south, but unfortunately, COVID wasn't looking too good at the time, and all the re-entry requirements were still pretty onerous when traveling with a family. I'm like, that's just going to take away from the fun. So I didn't go, and I partially regret it. I definitely missed out. But anyway, hopefully next year we can go. And this layer I'm going to put on dimensionals because I want to. It's going to look really cute. It's a good reason, right? I am, notice I'm not putting any down here, and the reason for that is I'm going to end up putting my sentiment up as well. And I don't want to have double dimensionals, if you will, so that it smooshes down nicely for, oh, you know what, my sentiment's going to be down there. Oh well, I'll put it near the bottom, and I will add one at the bottom here so that it's balanced. Don't mind me. So I'm just going to center that on, or try. There we go. And I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this, as I mentioned. Don't need a lot. 2 should do the trick. And I mainly want to make sure, there we go, so I'm going to put it closer to the bottom. I wonder if I can coax this to be aiming down. It may or may not stay. And there we go, our cute little thank you card with a little bow and some twine. So fairly simple card. It's just a matter of layering those images and playing with the water painters, which is completely optional. I mean, it looked really nice without. If you've got a stamp with birds, that would look really cute too. Didn't think of that. I did think of it on this card though. I put the birds. This is the On the Horizon stamp set with the Thinking of You and the birds, and the fence and the die cuts are the Horizons dies, which I'm a huge fan of. I just love. And I had stamped there's a stamp in the On the Horizon stamp set. They come as a bundle that's got wood grain on it. So I had stamped the wood grain, and then I used the fence dies to cut that, which looked really great. And these are those pebbles, the enamel pebbles in the spring catalog. And this is another one that I'd made that was a little more simple. Wishing You Oceans of Happiness. That's from the Seize the Day stamp set. And I used Coastal Cabana as my colored layer on this one. And I had also done a sun here, and I think I ended up using the blending brush to kind of make that a little bit more subtle. Ooh, and something I forgot to do, I'm just noticing there's a little bit of sparkle to this card that I added with my Wink of Stella. And my Wink of Stella is getting very low, but let's bring it in. And something you can do with your Wink of Stella as well is you can use it as a water painter. The same way I did, where you pick up your color with this little guy instead of your water painter. And it just looks beautiful. I think it's time to bust out my new one because I'm not getting a lot of glitter anymore, but I just love adding a little bit of shimmer to the water. It makes it look like the sun hitting the water. There we go. I can barely see it, unfortunately, so you probably can't see it on the video, but anyway, super cute effect. Definitely recommend it. So I hope you enjoyed this video and seeing the Oceanfront stamp in action. I've seen people use this stamp here as just a background for words, which looks really cool too. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, and I kind of want to do it right now, but we'll close this video and I shall continue to play with it. More to come. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're having a fabulous day. Please subscribe to my channel to see more videos.